Uh-oh.
What?
I think I need to fart.
Oh no. Papa has another frog in his butt.
Hey, fellow knife aficionados. Welcome back to the Fortified Castle. And, bonjour, guten tag, privet, hola, and ciao to my foreign friends. So, I got a question on, one of my knife videos. Where did I get my history information on knives? And so I thought I'd go ahead and do a video talking about how you guys give you some tips on how you can research history on knives. So these books here are what I call foundational books. This is the standard knife collector's guide by Roy Ritchie and Ron Stewart, and has really good information in it. Levin's Guide to Knives and Their Values. Really, really good information by Bernard Levin. And then Gowen's Encyclopedia of Cutlery Markings. And so, if you're going to collect knives, I think you should have these three books in your collection. Also, this knife here by Houston Price, Official Price Guide to Collector Knives, is a really good basic collector book. And I've done a review on this book. So if you look at my playlist, you can find book reviews under a category in my playlist, and look at what these books are all about. So these are foundational and give you really solid, good starting information on knife collecting. I've got, so far, I think I have 27 books. I may have a little bit more. You can see some in the background there. Right here, Sheffield Knife Book by Godfrey Twindle, and John Carter's German and Knife and Swordmaker's book. These are exhaustive books on information that has to do with German knives and Sheffield knives. And so they're expensive though. Okay, they're out of print, and they're just very expensive books to get a hold of. So if you're a really serious collector, you don't mind putting out for that kind of information. So your next step, of course, is the internet, and just starting out with the knife, whatever knife that may be, say case knife history, is how I put in the information on the internet. And for the larger collectible companies like Schrade, Case, Cattaraugus, New York Knife Company, you can find information that way. But on most knives, you're not going to get anything. And so you have to kind of think outside the box. And so the first thing I start doing is messing with the way that I'm asking the question. And so, for instance, if I had a Ewick knife, I might say Edward Wick history, or Edward Wick research, Edward Wick factory. Just try different ways to answer the question. If you know the principles involved in the company through other information, like Goins, for instance, oftentimes talk about the principals, the owners of the company, the chief financial officer, or members of the board. So you can do searches on those names, and sometimes that'll kick up information that you're looking for. So just, think outside the box and explore all avenues and possibilities. Another thing I do is I just look at the city. And so I would look at in the case of Edward Wick, who produced his knives in New York City, I would just call up New York City history, or New York City research industries, industries of New York City. And so that'll kick up some things. And I found a article that way, written by a local correspondent on the history. They were doing histories of local companies, and so there was a fantastic essay produced by them on Edward Wick, which gave a lot of information. And through that, I got other information that allowed me really to find out a lot about the knife. So you can also look at local historical societies. So when I was researching Russell Knife Company, I researched, I found out where the city was that he was producing the knives, and I looked for the local historical society, and they had a wealth of information and also pictures that I could use in the video to produce a video. Sometimes you can use state historical societies, and so if the local city doesn't work, look up a state historical society, go to their website, and then research the knife company that you're looking for. Also, knife clubs. So almost every state has a knife club. A lot of those knife clubs, not all of them, but a lot of them are online, and you can research information off of local knife clubs. I go to forums, and so forums are kind of a mixed bag. You get a lot of guys who are telling people what they know from Uncle Buck, but Uncle Buck didn't really know what he was talking about. And so you get some conflicting information on knife forums, but you also get really good information. A lot of times authors that have written these books, or longtime collectors who really know what they're talking about, are on these forums and giving information. So that's just a great way. You're looking at right now, different forums I use, Blade forums, all about pocket knives, iKnife Collector. Those type of forums are great. You also have U.S. and foreign museums. So once again, museums are kind of the mixed bag, and they'll often have information that you're looking for, but it's not online. So that's a resource if you want to travel to that museum to get information. But I've gotten information off of the Smithsonian website and off the American History website, and also foreign museums. So it's worth checking those out. Sometimes you can download the information, sometimes you can't. Also colleges. So if you're familiar with Belknap hardware knives, fantastic knives. They insisted on quality. A lot of your older hardware knives did that. In the University of Kentucky has all of Belknap's archive of records. So minutes to meetings. I mean, very minute and detailed information on these knives on their website, and a lot of it is downloadable. And so, looking at colleges is worth, taking a shot. Again, they're not always downloadable. They don't have them on the internet, but in this case, it was. So those are worth checking out. Another thing I do is related searches. So if I was looking for information on a hardware store knife, I would initially try that company's name. Sometimes that doesn't, produce anything, and so then I just look at hardware companies. There's actually a hardware collector club that has a lot of information on different hardwares, and that's how I've been able to get information on some of those books. But steel companies, sporting good companies, hunting gear, different things like that will produce different information for you. You can find a lot of articles on the internet written about companies or different subjects that involve companies, and that's really helpful. and also research papers. And so I've posted a couple of those for you to look at. But the research paper on Sheffield knives is actually has way more information. You can see it from the pictures I'm posting than the Sheffield knife book. So in a lot of ways, it's more informative than this book right here, which is pretty much cursory in talking about the Sheffield knife industry. But that history paper goes way more in depth, gives you way more information, covers a larger period of time. And so finding things like that on the internet will really help you out. I've also found, I can't remember, I think it was New York, a New York college that did a archaeological dig on the New York Knife Company site, and posted information on their archaeological dig, which was a lot of information, also with historical information they had on the company. And so oftentimes you get information from like industry industry tax records and things like that. You can find on the internet. You just have to think outside that box, right? Open your horizons to find information. So I'm posting right now a article by Knife Magazine, and I'm a member of Knife Magazine. And so when you're a member of a magazine like that, you have access to their old articles. This is a imperial knife made in Mexico, Heco de Mexico. On it, you can see it right there. So there's very little information on these knives on the internet, and you get a lot of bad information. But from this article, it talks all about not only the relationship, but how that relationship developed in Mexico, where these knives were actually produced, when they started producing them. A lot of information off of that article, and that came from Knife Magazine. And so that's really helpful too. Here, I purchased out of Canada. Beautiful little, it's bone, it's not ivory. Bone handled knife, dates to the mid 1800s. And when you look on it, you can see it has HS on there. That's the only listing, which does not cross in Goins, by the way. And then you have a number 9 on it. And so there's no country of origin on this knife, and no way really to figure out other than this HS. So I start looking, excuse me, and there's about 25 different possibilities in Germany, and a lot of possibilities out of Sheffield, and a few in the United States. But I couldn't definitively pin this knife down. And as you see in the picture that I'm showing, this was a research paper that I found just by accident. I was lost, and it's on trademarks on base tableware. So I was researching, silver marks, and in the back of this research paper, at the end of it, not only does it have an exhaustive marking of not only base tableware trademarks, but also knife maker trademarks that you wouldn't normally be able to find. And in the back, you can see I've shown you a photo of symbols, and so they just talk about symbols, and then you can try to find a knife maker based upon those symbols. But it also has numbers, and so you can see there were a number of people that had number 9, but only Hancock and Sons matches the H and S. And not only that, Hancock and Sons made pen knives. So not every knife manufacturer, made pen knives. Not every knife manufacturer made fixed blades. And so, you know, I can confidently say that this knife was made by Hancock and Sons. And that came about a year and a half after I got this knife. So that's another thing. I always keep a knife in the back of my mind. I'm always trying to identify them. And I was able to do that through that research paper, trademarks of base. Uh, Let me get it right here. Trademarks on base tableware. Um, so that's how this stuff can really help you, and how you research it and how you follow the clues. You know, basically, when you're looking at these old knives trying to figure them out, you're the knife detective, and the knife has all kinds of clues, and you're looking and following those clues to build a case. So I hope that helps you guys out. That's how I research. Maybe it'll help you out. And definitely listed some of my sources for you. And I really appreciate you guys for supporting the channel. And thanks again.